Hello, everyone. I'm Elana Wright from Development and Peace. I'm the, excuse me, my title changed recently, the advocacy campaign officer for Development and Peace-Caritas Canada. I'm thrilled to be here with Eddy Pérez, whose title changed recently as well. So he's the manager of climate diplomacy at Climate Action Network Canada, also known as CAN-Rac. And I'm thrilled to be talking to you at this important moment, Eddy, when 5 years ago, we were all so thrilled that finally the Paris Climate Agreement was signed, and we seemed to have consensus. It seemed to be a turning point. Now we're 5 years later, and how would you say Canada is performing in terms of its respect of the climate agreement?
First of all, thank you very much, Elena, for this opportunity, and for folks from Development and Peace for giving me the chance to speak about this subject, which is a passion for me, as you know. Yeah, so I guess the thing that I could say, the 12th of December, we celebrated the 5th anniversary of the Paris Agreement. It is the first multilateral environmental agreement where it binds all countries, almost 200 countries, to specific commitments, both at the international level and at the domestic level. And so, for the past 5 years, what we've seen is an improvement in different areas when it comes to Canada's performance on climate change policies, environmental policies, both domestically and internationally. We saw, for example, in the past 5 years, the proposal of Canada's first pan-Canadian climate framework. We saw the announcement of contribution to climate finance with the 2.65 billion. And we also saw a commitment from Canada to play with the other countries the game of climate diplomacy and really be at the heart of those negotiations and discussions. There is, of course, the difference between what Canada says at the international level and what happens at the domestic level. We've noted and said that there's an incoherent approach on this because Canada could be at the forefront of climate diplomacy internationally by, for example, the creation of the Power and Pass Coal Alliance that was launched in 2018 with the United Kingdom, which is the COP26 president, and being at the forefront, trying to push for greater ambition internationally. However, at the domestic level, we'll still have a lot of work to do to get at the same level of ambition as other countries, for example, like-minded countries like those in the European Union and the United Kingdom. And, I think it's going to be interesting. Canada has revealed a new climate plan and has committed to enhance its NDC. How we move from here towards, 2021, the year of COP26, and what Canada will commit to do to enhance its targets, and also to make sure that those plans reflect the evolution of Canada's domestic policies, both on energy, transport, and all those high-emitting sectors in the country.
According to the latest climate index, Canada is not doing very well. Do you think that this new climate accountability bill in Parliament will actually help Canada to achieve its targets? Because it has failed miserably so far.
Yeah, Canada has never had a very good performance in what we call the CCPI index, and the reason for that is because we're per capita the highest emitter in the world. We also have a very huge reliance on fossil fuel energy, and the fact is that Canada has been incoherent when it comes to at the international level being at the forefront on key policies, but at the domestic level unable to implement it. And we've seen the increase on greenhouse gas emissions in the country, until recently, doubts about the carbon pricing proposal that the Canadian government put to law lately. The accountability framework is an important step forward. because it really gives us the opportunity to have an approach that brings the ministry and also parliament and independent assessment on making sure that Canada meets its emissions goals. That is just not a political statement, but it actually allows Canada to be put on an accountability spirit so that Canada really meets its goal. It happened in the UK. The UK was able to reduce its emissions. We've seen it also in New Zealand, same thing. So Canada needs that kind of accountability framework to meet not only the 2050 targets, but also the 2030 targets, which are just a couple of years away.
And as the highest emitter per capita in the world, some have said, and including actually Pope Francis, that Canada has an ecological debt to developing countries who are really suffering the worst impacts of climate catastrophe, from sea rise to desertification to hurricanes. So what does Canada have to do in terms of climate financing so that countries can survive these climate catastrophes?
Yeah, so maybe to put it simply, while we've seen some kind of a progress since 2015 in terms of Canada's climate policy, Canada has not yet done its part. It's part of what needs to be done globally to respond to the climate crisis that we're facing. And so part of doing its part is recognizing that we're not going to be able to do everything here, but we have been one of those countries that has been emitting greenhouse gas emissions historically more than many of those vulnerable countries in the world that are today facing the worst impacts of the climate crisis. And that requires the understanding that climate change, to do this transition, that requires investment. That requires having funds to adapt and to mitigate the climate impact, and also to respond to those disasters that hit so hard that countries and communities are not able to adapt. And so, in that terms, Canada also has a part to play to helping developing countries, vulnerable countries, adapt and mitigate the climate crisis, and link those investments with development, gender-related principles and values. And Canada has to step up. It provided $2.65 billion in 2016. It's time to go above. Climate Action Network has been advocating for an increase of $4 billion per year to help developing countries, vulnerable countries around the world meet these challenges. And this is just the part of Canada within the 100 billion commitment in the UNFCCC, the Climate Convention. So Canada has a way to go. And we also saw that Prime Minister Trudeau committed to new climate finance investments at the Climate Action Summit on Saturday. We look forward to continue working with the government so that Canada plays a bigger role in climate finance.
And Eddy, you can count on our members at Development and Peace to continue to keep pressure also on their members of parliament and on the government in general, and also to be making changes in their own way of life in order to pay that ecological debt. Thank you so much, Eddy, for being with us.
Thank you so much, Elana.